Bohemian, who, thanks to her lightning quick start at the World Indoors, got herself a silver there. And she made the World Championship final. She had a national record in that semi-final that Tim was talking about with 12.46. So the quality here coming from the Caribbean island. But the times to watch, Fury of South Africa with that 13.04 from the first of the semi-finals, with Mars of Northern Ireland just a shade outside that incredible 50-year-old national record from Mary Peters. She ran 13.37. So an opportunity for one or two of these other women here, if indeed it is the Caribbean island nation athletes who take the two automatic spots. And there is Devynne Charlton, 26 years of age now, 7th eventually in the final in Eugene, but a world indoor silver. And she got out the blocks beautifully in Belgrade. What a great start to a wonderful year of athletics that was in Serbia. Feels like it was a lifetime ago now, back in March. And there's Tapper, Pan American bronze, Olympic bronze, 7th in this final back in 2018, but she's a much better athlete than she was 4 years ago. And there's Mucci, 2nd from the left, the Australian Oceanian champion, former heptathlete, getting herself primed and pumped for this second semi-final. And it's likely to be a windy mark again. Here's the official confirmation of the lineup for the second heat. Top two advancing to the final in 2 days' time. Tapper in 3 and Charlton in 5 will be the favourites to take the automatic spots. Wind reading in the first of the heats was 2.5. Feels like it might be even breezier now. Athletes preparing for their introduction.
In lane number 2, a lifetime best of 13.
Well, Heather Payton representing Scotland, but she's a Birchfield Harrier. Massage therapist getting a great reception from the crowd, and the president of Birchfield Harriers, who's sitting alongside me and will no doubt chip in when the race is finished. And Megan Tapper, the Pan American bronze medalist 3 years ago, the Olympic bronze medalist, a small, compact, very fast, technically proficient hurdler. Watch for her in the early stages. Joythi Yadeji of India, PB in a national record this year. I wonder if she could use this inspirational setting to duck under 13 seconds for the first time. Now to Devynne Charlton, joint favourite for this one. That 12.46 PB and national record coming in the semis in Eugene. World indoor silver back in March. Celeste Mucci, the Oceanian champion, just off the podium on the Gold Coast in the heptathlon. And now deciding to fully focus on the sprint hurdles. 22 years of age, she's a young emerging talent. The Australian commentators in front of us getting very excited about her chances of making the final. And Noor Zaini, I remember watching her get a bronze in the SEA Games, the Southeast Asian Games, the sweltering conditions of Kuala Lumpur back in 2017. Big moment for her. She'll need a big PB to get in the shake-up for the final. Patton of Scotland in 2. We're not using lane 1. Tapper will be 2nd from the right, but in lane 3, the Jamaican. Yaraji of India in 4. Charlton, Bahamas in 5. Mucci, Australia 6. And Zaini of Singapore nearest the camera in 7. There's Tapper. She's in lane 3, but she'll be 2nd from the right-hand side, with lane 1 not being used. Tapper in the yellow, Charlton in the turquoise. The two athletes from Jamaica and the Bahamas expected to take the automatic spots. But you never know. That's why we love watching live sport. You can't always predict. Well, Charlton, just as she did in the World Indoors, has got a great start, but Tapper now coming through, and Mucci running well for Australia in 3rd. Charlton just beginning to come back to Tapper, but it's Tapper who takes it, 12.67. But once again, agonisingly close to Bridget Foster-Hilton's Games record. It was +2 metres on the nose, so it would have counted as a Games record. Excellent running by the two Caribbean islanders. Just waiting for Mucci's confirmed time. I reckon she would have just been around about 13 seconds, maybe a shade under. Yep, 12.96. So Mucci of Australia is in pole position for one of the non-automatic spots, and in so doing with 12.96, good on her, she's equalled her PB.
Yeah, good running that in the second heat. Megan Tapper with that 12.68 heat win. Again, looking very, very good. As Rob said, the two favourites in this were Tapper and Charlton. Tapper going third in the semi-finals at those World Championships when she ran her PB of 12.52. Talked about the super times at those World Championships. There was also carnage in the early rounds as well. A couple of Americans not making it through. It really was a drama-filled event at those World Championships a couple of weeks ago. But Tapper there on the dip, just beating the athlete that finished 7th at those World Championships. Smaller in stature, has to raise her hips just a little bit to get over the barriers, but compact, fast, a little clip. But athletes are being sensible here, Rob, because they've got a couple of days before the final, so they're full out. This is their one opportunity to get the body going, get a good time on the clock, and that was a good run by the Jamaican.
Certainly was. Megan Tapper, the Olympic bronze medalist, with an excellent piece of qualification, 12.68, safely through to the final, along with the world indoor silver medalist, Devynne Charlton. Celeste Mucci equaling her PB. Looks like she's got a great chance of going through as one of the non-automatic qualifiers. Not the case for Yaraji, because Furi, from the first of the semis, occupies the second of those spots with 13.04. Look at the way Charlton gets out. You can tell why she's so proficient indoors over the 60. But Tapper, physically, she's tiny, Catherine, but in some ways, she's therefore tailor-made for the sprint hurdles.
Yeah, you can see it's a great side shot. She literally has to just lift her hips a couple of inches to get herself between her sprinting position between the barriers. And Charlton as well, technically pretty good with that right leg lead. The quick whip around of the trail leg to get it back into contact with the track so you can drive forward. Yeah, this is shaping up very nicely indeed, isn't it, this women's 100-metre hurdles?
Well, what I like about this event is we've now become fascinated from a global perspective. I mean, we marvel at the Americans, seemingly a never-ending conveyor belt of American women who can run 12.3, 12.4, 12.5. You know, making it onto the American team is almost impossible. Now we've got Amazon, the world record holder. You've got beautiful, flowing, technically proficient hurdlers from the Caribbean in the form of Tapper and Charlton from the Bahamas. So you've got African intrigue, Caribbean intrigue coming up good enough to challenge the Americans, who've still got one or two excellent performers, the likes of Kenny Harrison, the former world record holder. This is a great, great time for female sprint hurdling. We should really savour these races because we're watching 3 different continents able to perform at the peak of their powers.
What's fascinating about Megan Tapper there is she is a tiny character in stature. Great run from her, 12.68 with a legal win, by the way, for that win. But she has to really extend that lead leg over the barriers. She's so short, at around 5'2", that she has to adopt a genuine, very, very traditional hurdling technique, whereas the taller athletes, Kath Mary, can sort of skip over them with a bent lead leg. That's, you know, alluding back to that issue we were talking about earlier about whether the barriers in the women's 100-metre hurdles are high enough. I don't suppose they'll ever will get raised because it would destroy the history of the event. They've been that height for many, many years.
Yeah, it's an ongoing question, an ongoing debate. And whether it's 100-metre hurdles or 400-metre hurdles, height discussions aside, it's always about having a good, compact, tidy technique. Always the base along with some good speed. And talking of good speed, Tim, well, Nigeria have got big hopes for Toby Amusam in terms of picking up a gold medal here. Nigeria failed to win a medal in the women's 100 metres. They came 4th and 5th. There was no man in the men's 100-metre final either. So Toby Amusam, who will line up in this next race in lane number 3, is a big medal hope in the short sprint events here for Nigeria, and understandably so. The new world record holder, the new world champion, and the reigning champion as well, Tim. Let's not forget, she's coming here to defend her title. I remember working at the Commonwealth Games on the Gold Coast, and the disappointment for Australian fans when Sally Pearson withdrew from the Commonwealth Games 4 years ago. And Toby Amusam took advantage of that, and that was a real breakthrough for her, wasn't it? Winning this title back in 2018, and how she's grown. And she's got competition though, Michelle Jenneke there of Australia, but she really has grown in stature in this event, hasn't she, since she won the title in 2018.
Absolutely. Jenneke, by the way, in that same semi-final where Amazon set the world record in Eugene a couple of weeks back, running her fastest time, a personal best, having struggled to break 13 seconds all year, including the Australian season. She came out and ran 12.66 in that semi-final. Many reasons for people to look with a slight squint at the results of that semi-final, which Amazon set the world record. At the moment it stands, and rightly so. She has been in supreme form, and you look at her form throughout this season, Amazon, on the Diamond League circuit and elsewhere, and it's mainly a series of really good victories, very quick times. She won in Paris with a fabulously fast time into a headwind. So Amazon is a much respected high hurdler, and of course, as the world record holder, should cruise through from this heat very comfortably.
The women's 100-metre hurdles. Perhaps we're not going to show the B heat, but the A heat coming up here, featuring some of the fastest women that have managed to get themselves over to Maka Chinelem. The Netherlands goes in lane 1, two-time national champion, ran her second fastest time ever in Turkey last month. Beating records here in the women's 100-metre hurdles was Jasmine Camacho Quinn last year, 12.41. So Keskitalo of Finland goes in lane 2. Personal best in Helsinki 3 weeks ago, 12.81. Second Finnish athlete Lotta Harada goes in lane 3. She made the final of the European Indoor Championships, but wasn't able to finish, unfortunately. It was a season's best for her on Saturday, 12.74. Rebecca Hill of Jamaica goes in lane 4. Two-time world junior champion in 2022 and 2024. She was just 4th at the Jamaican National Championships, 12.69 her best set this year. There is Tataji Kumbunji. She broke Susan Kalor's European record to win the European Indoor Championships and then picked up a silver just behind Devynne Charlton at the World Indoor Championships. Significant season's best in Monaco the other day to come second behind Grace Stark. She's down to 12.66 so far in 2025. Charisma Taylor at the Bahamas goes in 6th. Glasgow World Indoor Championships, she came 6th in the long jump and at the 60-metre hurdles, which is pretty close to her outdoor personal best in Canada the other day. Renaya Jones of the United States is a late addition. She takes lane 7, third at NCA's last year. Best race so far in 2025. Probably her second in Bidgosh on the Continental Tour Gold. Annalise Torian of the USA takes lane 8. She's 4th in the NCAs, recently representing Auburn University. Busy NCA season, lots of races. Torian here to have another go against the pros. There is Majinga Kumbunji. It was a double win for the sisters here last year in Lucerne. Kumbunji, I'm sure her heart rate is pretty high watching her younger sister, Tataji Kumbunji, settle into the blocks here in the women's 100-metre hurdles. B race was won by Rita Herska, 12.93. So that's the time target for these women. And they're away here to the race of the first hurdle, perhaps won by Hill of Jamaica. Hill, the youngster from Jamaica, trying to go with Tataji Kumbunji, but Kumbunji at the moment just starting to control the race. The good, perhaps 7 and 8 hurdles for Kumbunji, but then she came under pressure from Perica Hill. That was really exciting from the Jamaican youngster. But Tataji Kumbunji, similar to Jason Joseph there, just dug in over the last couple of barriers and held on to the win. Personal best for Hill, a significant personal best. She's gone from 12.69 to 12.54, if that time stands there. And Tataji Kumbunji, 12.49, solidifies that season's best, or actually betters her season's best. It was 12.66 the other day in Monaco. That's a brilliant time there. Hill was really strong through the second half of the race there. Just over that final hurdle really, that Kumbunji reopened the gap ahead of Hill. Smiles all round for Heat A of the women's hurdles. 4,000 spectators here in Lucerne. Going to be one of the highest numbers you see in a Continental Tour Silver. But there is the result of the women's 100-metre hurdles. Hitachi Kambundji 12:49, Erica Hill 12:54 for a new lifetime best, and a good third for Renee Jones of the United States 12:86. Got a pole vault going on here as well. Common feature here of the meeting in Lucerne. Oh, Angelica Moser, one of the local stars here. Actually yet to enter the competition so far, Angelica Moser. Oh, I think Madinga Kambundji will be absolutely delighted with that win for Hitachi Kambundji. And perhaps she can relax now and enjoy watching the rest of the competition, maybe take an interest in the 100-metre races that are coming up next. We've got 2 men's 100s, 2 women's 100s. We have the women's 4 hurdles, a men's 400, 2 women's 800s, a men's 15, and then a 200 for the men and women as well, all over the next couple of hours. Smiles and waves from Hitachi Kambundji. So great afternoon so far for the Swiss, with a win from Jason Joseph and from Hitachi Kambundji.
The women's 100-meter hurdles continues to prove why it is one of the most electrifying events in global athletics. In 2 races, spanning different continents and years, perfectly capture this rising intensity. At the 2022 Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, the crowd at Alexander Stadium witnessed a semi-final packed with talent and fierce determination. Strong winds swept across the track, but nothing could disrupt the focus of Jamaica's Megan Tapper and the Bahamas Devynne Charlton, who headlined the heat with world-class precision. Tapper, known for her explosive rhythm and compact yet powerful frame, delivered one of her cleanest races of the season. Her fluid trail leg and seamless transitions carried her to an impressive 12.68, just shy of the game's record. Charlton, ever dangerous out of the blocks, followed closely in 12.72, showcasing the consistency that had already earned her a world indoor medal earlier that year. Australia's Celeste Mucci added to the drama by equaling her personal best with 12.96, proving that the hurdles continue to attract global depth and new challengers. Fast forward to 2025 in Lucerne, Switzerland, where the Continental Tour Silver meeting produced another unforgettable chapter. Switzerland's own Hitachi Kambundji, the European indoor champion, arrived as the clear favorite, and she delivered. With superb technique and unmatched control over the final barriers, she stormed to a season's best of 12.49, solidifying her place among the world's elite. But the biggest revelation came from Jamaica's rising star, Erica Hill. A double world U20 champion, Hill attacked each hurdle with remarkable fearlessness, pushing Kambundji to the line and shattering her personal best with 12.54. Her breakthrough marked a symbolic shift. Jamaica, long dominant in flat sprints, is now producing a new generation capable of challenging for global hurdle supremacy as well. Together, these performances show the evolution of the event, where established champions like Tapper and Charlton meet the explosive emergence of athletes such as Kambundji and Hill, creating races where records are constantly under threat and the future of women's hurdling looks faster than ever.